When a woman chooses to live alone, people often assume it's because no one wanted her. They whisper, they judge, they make stories up to fit their comfort. But what they never stop to think about is that maybe, just maybe, she chose peace over chaos. Maybe she walked away from noise that didn't sound like love anymore. Maybe she realized that her heart wasn't built to keep explaining itself to people who only listened halfway. You see, there comes a moment in every strong woman's life where she stops trying to be understood and starts learning to be at peace, even if that peace comes with silence. A woman who lives alone isn't avoiding love, she's avoiding noise. The kind of noise that drains your spirit, arguments that go in circles, conversations that never heal, energy that feels like walking on eggshells. She's not isolating herself, she's protecting her mind. She's not lonely, she's finally hearing her own voice again, because there's something powerful that happens when you sit in stillness long enough. You begin to remember who you are without the opinions, without the expectations, without the pressure to always be enough for someone else. Her silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that peace isn't found in people. It's found in presence, her own presence. She's learned that being alone doesn't mean she's lacking love. It means she's no longer accepting conditional love. The kind that demands pieces of her just to stay, the kind that makes her question her worth after every disagreement. She's done with love that feels like walking uphill barefoot. She's done with giving herself to people who only show up when it's convenient. People say, "You must be lonely." She smiles because they don't understand. She's not lonely, she's selective. She doesn't crave constant company anymore. She craves connection that doesn't disturb her calm. And when you've fought hard to find peace, you'll protect it like it's sacred, because it is. She knows now that quiet mornings with her coffee, evenings spent reading or reflecting, and days filled with purpose are not empty, they're full. Full of her own thoughts, full of her own energy, full of gratitude for finally being able to breathe without tension in her chest. It takes courage to choose peace over presence. Because the world tells women that they're supposed to want someone beside them at all times, that being alone is something to be fixed. But the truth is, being alone can be the most healing thing she's ever done. It's the moment she stops running from herself and finally sits with her feelings. The moment she stops looking for someone to make her happy and realizes happiness was waiting inside her the whole time. And no, she's not hard to love because she lives alone. She's just learned that love without peace isn't worth it. She's learned that sometimes silence teaches you more about love than 1,000 conversations ever could. When she walks into her space at the end of the day, she doesn't hear loneliness, she hears alignment. She doesn't feel emptiness, she feels freedom. And that freedom didn't come easy. It came after breaking cycles, after letting go of people she thought she couldn't live without, after realizing that losing others was never as painful as losing herself. She's not running away from relationships. She's walking toward herself. That's the difference. She knows that love that disrupts peace isn't love at all, it's confusion. So she stays where her soul feels quiet. She stays where she can hear herself think. She stays where she doesn't have to beg to be understood. Because peace, once you've tasted it, becomes the most addictive feeling in the world. And she's not giving that up, not for attention, not for validation, not for someone who doesn't value stillness the way she does. She's not hard to understand. She's just done explaining why her peace is worth more than someone's presence. That's not loneliness, that's power. When a woman starts living alone, people like to label her as too independent. As if that's a flaw, as if standing on her own 2 feet is some kind of rebellion. But it's not rebellion, it's maturity. It's not about rejecting men or relationships. It's about finally understanding that she is capable of holding her own life together. It's about waking up one morning and realizing that she doesn't need anyone to rescue her because she already rescued herself. That's not pride, that's growth. She doesn't live alone because she wants to prove something. She lives alone because she's tired of proving everything, tired of explaining her worth, tired of chasing reciprocity, tired of giving love that always ends up being a one-way street. So, she took her power back quietly, not by making a scene, not by shouting it from the rooftops, but by choosing to handle her world with her own two hands. Paying her bills, fixing what breaks, managing her space, making decisions that affect no one but her, not because she has to, but because she finally can. That's strength. Independence doesn't mean she doesn't value partnership. It means she's learned to value herself first. It means she no longer ties her identity to who she's with. She's not afraid to ask for help, but she's no longer afraid to stand alone either. That balance, that quiet confidence, is what makes her powerful. People think independence is loud, but hers isn't. It's silent, steady, calm. It's the kind of independence that doesn't need validation or applause. It's knowing she can be soft and strong at the same time. See, when she was younger, she might have thought independence meant closing herself off, building walls, keeping her heart safe. But now, she understands that real independence is being open, but not dependent. She can let someone in, but she doesn't lose herself in the process. She can love deeply, but she doesn't need love to survive. That's the difference between a woman who's trying to prove her worth and one who's already discovered it. And the truth is, independence doesn't make her cold. It makes her clear. She knows what she deserves. She knows what peace feels like. And because of that, she's no longer desperate to fill empty spaces with temporary people. She doesn't chase attention, she chooses connection. She doesn't beg to be seen, she simply stands where she belongs, and the right people see her. There's something unshakable about a woman who knows she can take care of herself. She walks differently, she speaks differently. Her presence feels grounded, like she doesn't need to prove her value because her life already speaks for it. That doesn't mean she's without fear or struggle. It just means she's learned to navigate both without losing her sense of self. She doesn't crumble when life gets hard. She adapts, she grows, she rebuilds, because she's done it before, and she trusts herself to do it again. People sometimes mistake her independence for arrogance, but if they looked closer, they'd see that it's not arrogance, it's assurance. It's knowing she's enough, with or without someone beside her. She's not dismissing love, she's just waiting for the kind of love that doesn't require her to shrink, because she's not looking for someone to complete her, she's looking for someone who can meet her. When a woman reaches that level of understanding, her world shifts. She stops chasing, she starts attracting. She stops explaining, she starts living. She stops proving and starts choosing, because now she knows independence was never about being alone. It was about realizing she was never incomplete in the first place, and that realization changes everything. Just because a woman lives alone doesn't mean her heart is closed. It doesn't mean she's stopped believing in love. If anything, it means she's learned to love more wisely, because at some point she realized that not every connection deserves her softness, not every spark deserves her energy, and not every person who says "I love you" truly knows what love means. She used to give all of herself without hesitation, her time, her care, her loyalty, her peace, because she believed love was about giving, and it is. But now she knows it's also about protecting. When a woman has lived through heartbreak, when she's sat in silence and healed her own wounds without anyone holding her, she becomes different. She learns to feel everything more deeply, but she doesn't rush to act on it. She listens to her intuition more than her emotions now. She no longer confuses attention for affection or consistency for control. She's learned that love without peace is just chaos in disguise. So she loves, but she loves with awareness. She can be soft, but not naive, open, but not available to just anyone. That's not bitterness, that's growth. People often mistake her calm for coldness. They think she doesn't care. But the truth is, she just doesn't waste energy on things that don't grow her anymore. She knows what real connection feels like. It's peaceful, not painful. It's not games, not guessing, not confusion. It's safety, and she's not willing to trade her peace for temporary excitement. She used to think love meant staying through the storm, but now she understands that real love doesn't keep creating one. Living alone teaches her that her heart doesn't need constant validation to be full. She learns how to give herself what she used to beg others for: reassurance, kindness, comfort. She learns that love isn't something she chases, it's something she becomes. Because when you've spent enough time learning yourself, you stop needing someone else to define your worth. She's not looking for a savior. She's looking for an equal, someone who adds peace, not pressure. And that's the shift that changes everything. She's no longer driven by the fear of being alone. She's driven by the desire to stay at peace. So when she meets someone new, she doesn't rush. She watches. She listens. She pays attention not to what they say, but to how she feels when she's around them. Does she feel calm? Does she feel seen? Does she feel safe? Because she's not chasing chemistry anymore, she's protecting her energy. She knows she has the capacity to love deeply, but she's also learned that not everyone has the capacity to receive that kind of love. So she no longer gives it away recklessly. She saves it for someone who can match it, respect it, hold it. She doesn't want perfect. She wants peaceful. She doesn't want promises. She wants consistency. She doesn't want words. She wants action. That's what time alone teaches you, that love isn't about losing yourself in someone else. It's about finding someone who reminds you of what you already found within yourself. And even though she lives alone, she's not closed off to love. She's just more intentional with it. She's more patient. She's more grounded, because she finally understands that love isn't supposed to drain you. It's supposed to expand you. It's supposed to feel like home, not like survival. So no, she doesn't love less. She just loves smarter, and if that makes her different, then so be it. Because she's done loving out of fear. Now, she only loves out of freedom. There's something sacred about the way a woman builds a life that feels like home, not just a place with walls and windows, but a space that mirrors her peace. When she lives alone, every detail starts to mean something. The way the sunlight hits her kitchen in the morning, the scent of her favorite candle, the quiet hum of her thoughts, they're all little reminders that she's created something for herself. Her world isn't loud or rushed anymore. It's hers. Every inch of it holds a story of choosing herself after years of trying to be enough for everyone else. She doesn't wait for someone to make her space feel warm. She does that herself. Maybe it's the playlist she puts on while she cooks. Maybe it's the plants she waters every morning. Maybe it's the way she opens the curtains and lets the light pour in, as if she's letting life in again. It's not just a home she's built, it's a reflection of her healing. You can feel her peace in the air. It's quiet, but it's alive. It's not filled with noise or drama. It's filled with presence, her presence. And it's not about being perfect or polished. Her space doesn't need to look like a magazine spread. It just needs to feel honest. Some days there are dishes in the sink, a blanket thrown on the couch, a cup of tea left half full, but that's okay. Because this is her safe place, the one she doesn't have to perform in, the one she doesn't have to shrink inside of, the one where she can just be. That's what real freedom looks like, being fully yourself without needing permission. See, when she builds her own world, she's not running from love, she's making room for the right kind of love, the kind that fits into her peace, not fights against it. Because once a woman learns to make her space her sanctuary, she stops entertaining anything that feels like chaos. She starts measuring people not by their words, but by how her soul feels around them. She's learned that she doesn't need someone to build a home for her. She needs someone who feels at home in hers. It's in these moments of solitude that she realizes how strong she really is. She's paid her bills, decorated her space, cooked her meals, handled her life all by herself. But it's not the independence that makes her proud, it's the peace that came with it. It's the realization that she doesn't need a crowd to feel whole. She doesn't need someone's approval to feel loved. She doesn't need a relationship to feel alive. She already feels alive, right there, in her own space, doing the simple, ordinary things that once felt like survival, but now feel like joy. And there's something so beautiful about watching a woman who's finally at peace with her own company. She dances in the kitchen because she can. She talks to herself in the mirror because she finally likes the person she sees. She lights a candle at night and feels proud that she's created a life she doesn't need to escape from. That's not loneliness, that's contentment. That's ownership. That's love, the kind that starts from within. So no, she's not waiting for someone to build a home with her. She's already done that. And maybe one day someone will walk into that space and add to it, not to complete it, but to complement it. But until then, she's not rushing, she's not searching, she's not longing, because the truth is, she's already found everything she needed in the quiet she once feared. And now her life, her space, her peace, her world feels like home. People love to say that women who live alone are too guarded, too picky, or too hard to love. But the truth is, they're not hard to love, they're just hard to fool. There's a big difference, because once a woman has been through enough heartbreak, enough disappointment, enough moments where she gave more than she got, she learns. She learns to listen with her eyes, not her ears. She learns that words can lie, but energy never does. She's not cold, she's cautious, not bitter, just awake. And once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep on red flags that look like romance. You can't fool a woman who's learned her own worth. You can't charm her with empty compliments, because she's heard them all before. You can't impress her with promises, because she's learned to wait for patterns. She's not chasing butterflies anymore, she's watching consistency. She's learned that love isn't about grand gestures, it's about emotional honesty. And when you've spent enough time being at peace with yourself, you stop confusing effort with energy. You start recognizing when someone's showing up versus when someone's just showing off. She's not looking for perfection, she's looking for real, and that makes people uncomfortable because you can't fake real. You can't pretend to be steady. You can't act like you care forever. Eventually, the truth comes out, and she's patient enough to wait for it. She doesn't argue anymore, she observes. She doesn't beg for clarity. She lets silence reveal what words try to hide. That's not a defense mechanism, that's wisdom. That's the kind of peace that only comes from walking away from what almost destroyed you. You see, when a woman lives alone, she learns to read people differently. She's had to rely on her own instincts, and those instincts are sharp now. She knows when energy shifts, when something feels off, when someone's being half present. You can't manipulate someone who's spent nights learning to trust herself again. She's had to rebuild from the inside out, and that rebuilding gave her strength not just to stand alone, but to see through the things she used to fall for. And no, she's not difficult, she's discerning, she's not high maintenance, she's high awareness, because once you've experienced peace, chaos feels foreign. Once you've healed, drama feels unnecessary. She's not avoiding love, she's avoiding the kind of love that hurts more than it heals. That's why she asks questions others might be too afraid to. That's why she takes her time. She's not testing you, she's protecting herself. She knows that love without emotional safety isn't love, it's stress dressed up as affection. There's strength in that. There's power in looking someone in the eye and saying, "I need peace more than I need you." It's not about ego, it's about preservation. She's not trying to be intimidating, she's just finally done settling. And when you stop settling, people will call you difficult. simply because you no longer tolerate what you used to. But that's okay. Because her peace is worth more than someone's approval. She's learned that she can be open-hearted and still have boundaries. She can be kind and still say no. She can be loving and still walk away. Because she finally understands that protecting her peace isn't selfish, it's sacred. She knows that love should never require her to lose herself again. So no, she's not hard to love. She's just easy to lose if you're not real. And that's not a warning, that's a truth. There comes a point in a woman's life when she realizes love isn't something you chase, it's something you choose. And when she lives alone, she learns that truth on a deeper level. She's spent enough time sitting in her own silence, listening to her own thoughts, feeling every part of herself, the strong, the scared, the soft, and the scarred, and somewhere in that quiet, she learns that love doesn't complete her. It simply complements what she's already built. She stops searching for someone to fill the gaps because she's filled them herself. She used to think love meant needing someone. That being in love meant being dependent, being wrapped up in another person until she forgot where she ended and they began. But now she knows that's not love, that's attachment. That's fear disguised as affection. Real love, the kind she's now ready for, doesn't take away her independence, it celebrates it. It doesn't make her smaller, it makes her steady, and that kind of love can only come when you stop needing it. When a woman learns to live alone, she learns to be whole without being half of anything. She learns that peace is not found in another person's arms, but in her own choices, her own boundaries, her own reflection. And once you've found peace like that, love stops being about survival. It becomes about sharing. She's no longer looking for someone to fix her bad days. She's learned how to sit through them herself. She's not hoping someone will save her. She's already her own safety net. That's why her love, when she gives it now, is cleaner. It's calmer. It's not built on fear of loss, but on the beauty of freedom. She's not afraid to be alone anymore, and that's exactly what makes her love stronger, because now she's free to love without clinging. She doesn't need someone to fill her time, she wants someone to share it with. She doesn't need validation, she's already validated herself. That's the power of choosing love over needing it. It's not desperate, it's deliberate. It's not about filling a void. It's about expanding a life that's already full. And that's something most people don't understand. They think being alone hardens you, makes you cynical, but it doesn't. It actually softens you, it strips away the illusions, the expectations, the fantasy of what love should look like. It helps you see love for what it truly is. An addition, not a solution. A gift, not a requirement. She doesn't love because she's lonely, she loves because she has so much peace it overflows. She's not waiting to be chosen. She's waiting to choose. That shift changes everything, because when she finally meets someone, it won't be about fixing or filling, it'll be about flowing. It'll be about two people who already know themselves, already carry peace, already understand that love isn't supposed to hurt. She won't try to mold herself to fit into someone's world anymore. She'll stand in her own and see who fits naturally into it. She's not scared to walk alone because she's done it before, and that confidence changes the way she shows up. It changes the way she loves with grace, with clarity, with peace. She's learned that needing someone is heavy, but choosing someone is light. Needing comes from fear, choosing comes from freedom, and freedom is what she's built her life on now. She's no longer looking for love to complete her story, she's writing her story, and love is just one beautiful chapter in it.